Abhishek.
जी यहाँ पे राइट
मैम यहाँ पर मैम
करीना जी राइट
करीना जी
ये क्या मैम
सेंटर मैम
मैम आपके राइट में मैम सेंटर राइट मैम यस मैम यहाँ पे राइट में या
मैम यहाँ सेंटर
हाँ जी मार दीजिए मैम
करीना मैम here bus stop here करीना माधुरी मैम सामने
राइट साइड मैम ये मैम यस
here मैम
Look at center.
look here मैम thank you माधुरी
Ma'am, center. Madhuri, ma'am.
माधुरी जी here मैम
Ma'am, here.
मैम here
you left side? हाँ इनको बोलो excuse me मैम इनको बोलो So can I get a selfie please?
What I really liked about
Can I get a selfie?
Listen. Just try to sign me. Can you just sign on?
Thank you so much. Can you sign on my media card please?
थोड़ी बाइक को पण खुश होऊन माझी.
Thank
Thank you.
Please sign on my media card.
वो दे संभाल
It's an honor to meet you, sir.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor to meet you. Sir, I'm sorry. Sir, it's an honor to meet you.
सत्या. पकड़. अरे Christian.
Okay.
One selfie.
Guys, excuse me.
Hello Christian. Can I have an audio? This one.
Sir, please, Yes.
बना दिया यार तुम लोग ने
Sir.
Well, I love it. And thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Not just touching.
Ma'am, come this side.
Yeah.
Hello, क्या?
here.
This side.
Now straight here.
And right.
Look here. Cobra.
One, can you hold it, please?
Can you hold it, please? Yes.
Look here.
Thank you. आपका तो फाड़ू फोटो हो गया.
हो गया दादा.
Sir, यहाँ पे sir. Yeah, hold sir. So look here. Look here, sir.
मैम हट जाइए मैम. हट जाइए जरा.
Look here, sir.
दादा हार जाओ ना.
बैठ जाओ सर. आपके राइट में सर.
अभिषेक सर यार.
Sir, यहाँ पे. Yes, sir. Look here, sir. Yeah.
करीना मैम. अभिषेक सर.
On your right.
Left.
May I request the on-screen talent to please just join us here?
And Serena, can we also get on?
Yes, that'll be the next shot. So we're just going to do 3 combinations.
ये लोंडे जरा किट्टू का हमारा फ्लैश निकाल. अरे हाँ बघ ना जाम पिटतो रे. तिची बाई थोडासा मला अजर थोडासा हात रख. बस. अरे सर प्लीज मम got your hand.
Guys, we're setting up the photo.
Look here into the camera please. Here. One.
move your hand. रजनीश थोड़ा खाली. नहीं है सचिन नहीं है. आता कोण आहे. सरक का बाजूला. हे पाटिया म्हणजे फुल भेटेल. थोडा नीचे बैठ. काय करू म्हणजे घरी जा. Excuse me, sir. Your head is coming. अरे थोड़ा फ्लैश. अरे मेरे नीचे भी है यार. कौन है उसको भागा.
ये पिक्चर में पीछे है.
आगे क्या ना कैमरा लड़की नागो जूम इन करना
सब ये भी है. मुझे लगा है ऑफिशियल प्लेस में. अरे उनको कैसा अच्छा उनका होने थोड़ा सर कम क्लोज. कैन यू कम क्लोज. नहीं आ रहा है सर. नहीं आ रहा है. स्ट्रेट काम के लिए कुछ हो रहा है क्या इधर. अपने हिसाब से कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा है. तीनों को दे. तीन आता तिकडे काय काढलं. उसको बोल दे रहा है.
करीना फ्रीडा. तिला आवाज आहे तिघांना तर घेऊया.
अरे गिरो मत यार.
ये बाबा याला दे रे टपली दे. गोखले त्याला टपली दे जरा.
पाच में धक्का लगा. हे भाई त्यांचे प्रोडक्शन हवे. हा जागा सोडू नको. डोकं खराब करून ठेवलं नाही.
सर थोड़ा सा shift हो जाओ।
इधर इधर अरे गिर गया रे मिला
आओ मैडम
मैडम हमारे पिक्चर है अभी आपका नहीं लेना है ये सगळं चालू आहे दादागिरी चालू आहे रंग बघितले नाही अरे मैडम आपको कैंडिडेट शॉट समझता है क्या
भैया ऐसे बात करते आप?
हाँ मैं ऐसी बात करता हूँ यार
वो क्यों बार-बार खड़े रह रही
खराब
है
करो यार अरे इनाउस को लेने दो एक फोटो यार हाँ इनटू द कैमरा दिमाग ही खराब करे कब से
फिर भी नहीं आ रहा है उसको
ये आपका लेंस खराब अरे अभी कुछ नहीं होगा भाई अरे होना बाकी है इधर सिर्फ सेलिब्रिटी जाने दो
अरे त्याला काढू द्या
तो कधीपासून काढतो त्याचे तू बोलू क्या मैं हाँ बोलो वो ऐसे ही कैंडिडेट बन रहे उधर
अरे माने ये ना पाठवून घुम आहे ना हो बा पुढे मी पाठवून करतो तू पुढे घुसशील तुम्ही कधी आला इथेच उभा आहे मी आधीपासून
नाही नाही मला
इथेच उभा आहे
मी त्याला साईडला गेला मोबाईल झाला ना
Sir, can I have an autograph? Sir, can I have an autograph? On the cover. On the phone? Yes, yes.
Oh, black on black doesn't really show up.
That's fine. It's your blessings which counts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Very subtle. Oh, you want me to take it? Is that good?
मैडम इसके रिचार्ज का बहुत बड़ा उसका तो क्रेजी नाम है
थोड़ा मोबाइल पीछे दो ना
मोगली आ गया मेरा ब्लेजर पता नहीं तेरा दिव्या मैम सी मैम 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 फ्रॉम हियर प्लीज मैम मैम फ्रॉम हियर
नहीं यार
from this
सेल्फी अरे कोण रे सेल्फी
नहीं अभिषेक ही भाग गया ना अभी खाली
इकडे आली मी काढला तर बरेच काढले तिला सांग इंटरव्ह्यूला आले नाही या साईडला राहा कॅमेरा अरे हम लोग देते हैं सुनना इसका वो लास्ट टाइम का अपना अच्छा आया था ना
I'll just finish that.
वो निकाल लेते हैं
Ma'am. Could you just please
यहाँ पे कार्ड म्हणजे मी कार्ड
Ma'am. Ma'am.
ये मोबाइल है
Ma'am. One selfie.
टॉप एंगल
लाइट देखती यार
बाबा की लाइट आ रही है
बाबा लाइट निकाल बोलो
दिला ना तेरा निकाल
लाइट यार
अरे थोड़ा कैमरा कैसे बुलाएगा
बुलाओ यार
बाबा पूरी लाइट आ रही है पूरी लाइट आ रही है
देख अभी देख
अभी नहीं आ रही बाबा अभी चल
हो गए क्या सारे?
We are. Wait, you want a selfie? Must watch Mowgli. लास्ट सब लोग आ जाओ, ये आईफोन पे सब लोग इसमें आ जाओ।
मेरा ना ऊपर हो जाता
Hello, are we saying hello as individual, or should we just bring everybody on?
I think we should bring everyone on.
Okay, and then we'll get into it. Okay. So next up is a phenomenal actress who you will know and love. She obviously came into public recognition with Slumdog Millionaire. I worked with her on Planet of the Apes. She's so brilliant in this movie as Mesua, Mowgli's human mother, the wonderful Frida Pinto. Next up is someone who I know a little bit. His name is Louis Ashbourne Circus. I know him because he's my son, and he plays the part of a small little albino wolf in this movie who is quite sweet, I would say that, but he's now a grumpy teenager. Here he is, Louis Ashbourne Circus. Next up, from our international cast, from our local cast, international to me, is the wonderful actor who you will all know and love, and we are delighted and thrilled to have him on board, Abhishek Bachchan. And then next up, the incredibly talented, wonderful actor who you will, again know incredibly well, Anil Kapoor Khan. Anil Kapoor. Anil Kapoor. Next up, someone who I adore and think is the most extraordinary actress. She will be, of course, very, very well known to you. The wonderful... And then finally, we have a job. He was dedicated through this whole process. This was a very, very long job, and he stuck with it all the way and gave every single ounce of himself. I'd like to introduce to you the very talented Rohan Chand. And finally, actually, I have missed someone out because I haven't got my reading glasses on. I'm sorry about that. Again, a lovely actor who you will know very, very well, the wonderful Kareena Kapoor Khan.
All right. Hello. I would request this one, very excited because without any further ado, now if you could just now focus on the screens, ladies and gentlemen, here is presenting the Hindi trailer of Mowgli.
Really what Andy does, it's an ode to India. I remember him telling me before, I think it was before I left for South Africa, that he wanted to do my parts in Hindi, and he wanted to remember on Doordarshan we'd watch Jungle Book every Sunday. And there's so much of the human life in the village that was captured in that version, and I have not seen that version anywhere else, in any other adaptation. So for me to go to South Africa and actually work with fellow actors, all speaking in Hindi, all enjoying a kind of a version of the Holi festival, singing a lullaby written and composed by Nitin Sawhney. All of those beautiful things that I associate with India came to life in this movie. So yeah, very grateful to Andy for letting me speak in Hindi in this film and letting me dub myself.
Okay, that was bound to happen. Your own kids. Haji. You want to repeat?
Yeah, I mean, he's two, so
He's two. For you, he's two. And?
So not right now.
Not right now. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the cameras were clicking away, but of course now it's that big family photograph. But I'm going to invite the producer of Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle on stage. Guys, calm. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Cavendish. Yes, now I'd request the cast if they could just step forward.
From left to right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now, if you could just step forward, Christian, Abhishek. Ladies and gentlemen, wow, super, thank you Christian, thank you Abhishek. Of course, now if I could request the two balloons. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Louis. Thank you so much. I would request the two.
करीना की राइट पे राइट करीना की राइट पे मैम राइट
Okay, thank you. And the final invitation to the two Balus, Anil Circus and Mr. Anil Kapoor. Oh, there you go. That was motion capture, wasn't it? All right. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Anil sir. Thank you, Frida. Thank you, Madhuri ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Kareena. Thank you, Louis. Thank you. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you. And thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen. All right, all right. Hello, hello, hello. I would request this one. I mean, what a cast, ladies and gentlemen. What a cast. Now, hey. You'll all get your opportunity for a photo. Thank you. But because कहानी हिंदुस्तानी है तो हिंदुस्तानी ज़बानी में ही हम कुछ दिखाना चाहेंगे आपको. And I'm very excited because without any further ado, now if you could just now focus on the screens, ladies and gentlemen, here is presenting the Hindi trailer of Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. If you could just... Everyone wants to see it. Once again, with all these wonderful people, of course, we're missing out on one person who has a son called Tiger, and now he plays a tiger. Mr. Zaki Shroff, who's not here. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we all deserve to see the trailer once again. So, can we please play the trailer once again? It's a request. If you could dim the lights again. Oh wow, they're listening to me, nice. And performance capture, acting, voices of this absolutely fine cast. It streams on Netflix on the 7th of December in a language of your choice. There's Tamil, Telugu, and English, and of course, Hindi. But I think I want to start with Andy. Andy, I have grown up with this story like a lot of us. I have grown up with this book. I have grown up with watching it on television. What makes Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, now in 2018, so distinctive from all the adaptations?
I think one of the most important things about this version that does separate it or differentiate it is a really it's really searching for the heart of Mowgli. I think in many other adaptations, it always seems like Mowgli is sort of almost left on the side while the animals do star turns, and that it's a sort of he's part of the story but not central. We wanted to make a Mowgli-centric story, and it's about his very complex psychological, emotional journey of self-discovery in a world, caught between two worlds which are changing, and that's really at the heart of it. And it is so tonally, it is closer to the book as a result. It feels that book had that, and sometimes some of the adaptations haven't really gone as far as they can to really extract that visceral sense of what it is to be caught between, to not have a real sense of belonging, and that's what hopefully the audiences will relate to in this modern context.
Kristen, my next question would be to you. A big Netflix Hollywood release. The premiere is happening in India. How does it feel? Have you gotten used to everything here in India, which is different?
No, but it's just the very tip of the iceberg. I filmed here before in 2011 in Rajasthan, in Jodhpur, with The Dark Knight Rises. And then I brought my family out here. We've been here for 4 days. We traveled through Delhi and Agra and Jaipur, and then just arrived here in Mumbai. And tiny scratch of this incredible country, which has sort of a world within itself. But it's so appropriate for Mowgli to premiere here.
All right, and Rohan. Hi. I like your hair right now too. All right, Rohan. It's a very, very, very famous story. Literally every single person in this room and across the world knows this story. People have played Mowgli before. How long did it take for you to get into the character? Like, did you put in a lot of years, probably getting ready for this character of Mowgli, which is iconic?
Yeah, so much like all of you, I actually grew up reading Rudyard Kipling's short stories as well. And, I really loved them, and I really loved Mowgli, the boy who grew up with wolves. He was almost like my hero in a way, but I put a lot of work into this through like the physical side of the character. I did a lot of research on YouTube, and I actually went to upstate New York to camp out with wolves in a wolf conservatory center in order to like observe their movements and kind of observe how they interact with each other, and I try to apply that to Mowgli.
Man, I like it. He did his research on YouTube. I would have aced my exams if I had the internet back then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I have a lot of questions, but I'm sure that you want to ask your questions. So if you could just raise your hand and a mic would reach you from friends here. Yes, there's a question. Yes, we could start from here. Oh, there's a question coming from there. There's already a mic.
I have the mic,
Hi.
so shall I just start?
If you could just address...
I have the mic, so I'm just going to start. Hi. My question's for Andy, actually. I know Suren just asked you about Jungle Book in the modern context, but my question is actually a variation on that. What would you say is the relevance of the story today, especially with the whole sort of man-animal conflict, conservation, the environment? There's like kind of sharks, Jaws made sharks scary. Is there a possibility that kids might be afraid of tigers after this? I'm just wondering about all these sort of things. And the film does have layering about these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that our version of the film does... First of all, it digs into the notion of what it is to be an outsider. That is perhaps the most important aspect of the film, what it is to feel displaced, what it is to not feel that you belong anywhere. And that's why I think it will resonate. We live in a world that is full of people who are told to find differences in others rather than accept others. And that is one of the things that I think is incredibly powerful about this story of belonging. I think on a sort of very small kind of political level, you can't make a version of the Jungle Book now in 2018 without recognizing when it was written, where it was set, the history of the time, and we've tried to bring that to bear in some small way in the film, in the way that in the human relationship to the jungle, in the terms of colonization, in the terms of the world of animals having to recede and to be threatened and to somehow survive. So there is a comment on the fact that we are daily losing great swathes of paradise in our world. And historically, when Rudyard Kipling was writing this book, and what he means, and I firmly believe that his DNA is part of this storytelling. This boy that was brought up in India, whose first language was Hindi, who then was sent away to live in a foreign land. And was abused as a child. So I think that all those aspects really play into a modern retelling, and I don't think you can actually do it by doing a whitewashed version of this film. I think you have to connect with the place that it was originally written and based, and I think that's what we've done.
And a quick question for your son. What was it like working with Dad and doing what he's made so famous the world over with his performance capture techniques?
Yeah, it was great working with him. Obviously, it's cool to see that he's developed this way of acting, and it's been cool to like try out, the performance capture suit. But it was cool because we'd go into work together, and then we'd come back, and it was just like a normal day. Me getting home from work, him getting home from work. So it was cool. It was a new experience.
Right, there's a
Hi,
question
Rohan.
coming from Rudrani. Yes.
Hi, Rohan. I thought you were fantastic in the trailer. What's very interesting is that Mowgli, in different versions, has been always seen as this boy who's been brave, but yet there's this cuteness about him. What we see here is more like a warrior towards the end, where you sort of take on the world. Did you ever think, if you read books, that you would sort of be portraying this version slightly darker, slightly more fierce in your research, or whatever you thought you would do it?
Well, I mean, for a boy growing up in the jungle, you would kind of have to be kind of fierce, to compete with these animals and everything. But also, I think our movie is kind of closer in tone to Rudyard Kipling's book, which it goes kind of deeper a lot with the characters. And also, like, something that I really admire about Mowgli is really just his perseverance, because obviously he was dealt a very bad hand in life, and his parents were killed in the jungle when he was just a child, and stuff like that. He just keeps getting obstacles thrown at him over and over and over again, but he still manages to find a way to just like push through those obstacles. So I think that's really amazing about him.
My question also, thank you so much, Rohan. My question is for Mr. Anil Kapoor. I was having this discussion with Andy earlier about how we've never seen Balu being so authoritative. He's always been presented more in this comical sort of buffoonery, who sort of also has a light, laughter in the film. But here it's got this a little bit more complex layers. Was that all something that sort of attracted you in when you're voicing it out, when you're portraying? Did it sort of help to do this character in a different twist?
First of all, let me be very honest. I was very, it was an honor for me that I was approached to do Balu's character. And of course, when I saw the film and saw portions of it and read about it, I said, it's definitely more textured and more layered. So it made it much more exciting. And of course, it became a bit, I have to be very honest, because there was, whenever I got stuck and because you see, obviously, we're used to having the director when we are doing the voiceover, so if he was not there physically present, but Andy's voice was there. So whenever I got stuck, I would hear his voice again and again and again and again, and understand what is he thinking, how is he doing it. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So because it became a great reference for me, whenever I got stuck, you see, my interpretation was there, but there are times when you need someone to bounce. So this was a great time. I would listen to it 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, and understand it, and then go and do it. So that made it much more exciting for me. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Question from here? Kareena ji. कहाँ से आए? Mic है आपके पास?
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I just had a question for Abhishek, if he could answer. We've seen so many versions of the Jungle Book through the years and through the decades, in fact. What do you think is about this story that allows so many frequent retellings of it over and over again? What exactly draws people to this story again and again?
I think what's wonderful about the story that Rudyard Kipling had written is that it appeals to every age group through time. When I was a kid, in the early 80s, and we watched Disney's Jungle Book, which I was told today released in '67, your favorite character inevitably was Baloo, because he was the fun-loving guy. As a kid, you like that. But then when you grow older, your choices change. And then as an adult, you prefer a character like Bagheera because he represents certain responsibilities and values which reflect within you. So what's really nice is, I think, whichever stage of your life you watch this film or read the story, there's something for each and every age group to take away from. There are great sense of values, morals, principles, life's learnings and teachings that you can imbibe and take away. So I think that's why this story keeps getting retold. Having said that, I think Mowgli is the most accurate telling to Kipling's story. I think the rest have been, there have been certain liberties that have been taken to make it more possibly child-friendly. I think Mr. Serkis's version is most honest and true to the original script that Rudyard Kipling had written. Having said that, I think you realize that there's a lot more depth in the story. Okay, there's somebody frantically waving a hand in front of your face. Okay, sorry. All right. No, I'm just used to Netflix saying 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I was just wondering, are they telling me to shut up? Sorry. Hurry up, hurry up.
Okay.
It's a 30-second
Not from
bite.
Netflix. Not from Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So, so I think you realize that there's so much more depth and layering to this story than what we initially thought when we saw it as children. And I think this representation of the story is most accurate of that, and that's why it appeals across time.
I believe there was a question coming from that side. Where? Okay.
Hi, my question is for Mr. Christian Bale. This is Pooja from Good Times. I wanted to ask you, Bagheera is a Black Panther, but he's also mentor and friend to the man cub Mowgli. So how did you prepare for this role, and was there pressure in adapting Mr. Serkis's interpretation of Bagheera?
No pressure at all. I mean, Andy, we first met when I was 19 years old. He's always been a phenomenal actor. And then he's really mastered this whole performance capture thing, which when you first start it, you think, what are the secrets? What are we looking for? There's always those elements that you're not sure what the priority is, but he could guide me on that. And eventually it just comes down to it's acting. It's just like anything else. It's just different distractions with performance capture than anything else. You know, Bagheera is really fantastic character. It was really about observing panthers, you know, trying to get the movement down. With performance capture, you get to act directly, you know, with Andy and with Rohan, and we had a great sort of 3-4 crazy days of doing that, but it affects your performance completely. It's fascinating. It's a new world of possibilities of what an actor can transform himself into.
Over here, right here. Mr. Christian Bale, my question is again to you. This is Russell De Silva. What I would like to know is that you have a knack for completely physically and emotionally transforming into any character you play. But unlike many great actors alike today, you also started out as a child actor like Rohan, perhaps 12 or 13 when you did Empire of the Sun. So is there any point when perhaps a saturation sets in, or you feel like you need to take a break considering the demanding roles you do?
Yes.
But could you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
No, sorry.
No.
I didn't hear the last bit. Elaborate on that.
Could you elaborate on that?
Elaborate? Yeah, you just got to stop acting, be human. But Rowan's got tons of different interests. He's a really intelligent kid, way more intelligent than I will ever be in my lifetime. And just being curious about different things, and that informs being a good actor. You got to walk away from it. You got to walk away from films. I imagine every actor up here will say that. Acting itself doesn't lead to better acting, life, and living that. And so enjoying your downtime. And I'm always someone who I'm kind of kicking and screaming before I go work. I don't actually love working. I love not working. And then when I start working, I love working, and I never want to stop that. So I like whatever I'm doing, you know, but I've recognized that if I don't have downtime, you start to just sort of act like other actors instead of acting like people.
Hello. Where, ma'am? Here.
मेरा सवाल अपने सभी अभिषेक, माधुरी मैम, अनिल जी एंड करीना आप चारों से है कि यूजुअली आप लोग जो डबिंग करते हैं वो बेसिकली अपने किरदारों को, जो किरदार आप लोग खुद जीते हैं उनके लिए करते हैं. यहाँ जब आप एक मतलब जो किरदार जब अलग से डब कर रहे हैं जो आपने निभाया नहीं है, वो कितना आसान या मुश्किल होता है comparatively?
How was it being the Python?
Giving voice to the Python.
Yeah, giving voice to the Python.
You haven't spoken, so please.
मैं हट जाता हूँ, मेरे को पता है, मेरे को मार पड़ेगी. 1 second. Good enough, you guys? You can see? Yeah, please, Kareena.
Well, of course, from the roles that I've played normally, which has been, you know, completely different to what Ka's character required. I think I enjoyed this a lot more because I found her voice very, very powerful, very, very, it had to be slightly hypnotic because she kind of hypnotizes Mowgli and, you know, in a way to take his decision, you know, and shows him the way, you know, to his journey, the path. So obviously it's slightly hypnotic, slightly seductive, very, very powerful. I felt like when I was dubbing, I felt like, I don't know, I was like on stage. I had to be slightly more theatrical. The voice had to sound like like it wasn't me. So I actually enjoyed doing it. When it was over, I was like, God, why weren't there more scenes?
Madhuri, ma'am?
I think it was great doing this because the actor who actually played the original character of the mother, Miss Harris, she did a brilliant job. And all I had to do was just use my voice and her expressions and just get the flow of it. It's a beautiful character. It's that of a mother who accepts Mowgli as a child. He's very different from their clan. He's a man cub. And yet she goes out, she's generous, she is loving, she's giving, and she accepts him as his own. And that was a wonderful thing, I think, which is needed in the world today. People are different, and you need to embrace something that's different, and that's what she does. And I enjoyed playing her, because she was beautiful, she's ferocious, she will protect her man cub right here at every cost. And I just loved and enjoyed playing her.
Anil sir, I'm going to add a little more to the question. When you watch the Hindi trailer, Anil Kapoor is also there. Like, the way you speak, you know, in real life, and even Balu, there are these worlds that are mixing. Is it difficult? And every actor wants to do a role, if it's been done before, differently. Were you watching what was happening in the English version while you were, you know?
I did say that, yeah, I did. Because I would, you know, try out first. And as I said it, that if I got stuck and I was not happy, and I would listen to it, because I would go back and forth, listen to it in the theater, go into the, you know, do all those crazy things. And, you know, and then I had the reference. So I was fortunate that I had the reference of the great Andy, you know. Otherwise, still, I think I have to learn a lot, you know, with just the beginning, for me at least. And I wish I get an opportunity where I would get to work with all these great talented people like Christian Bale and Andy. And, of course...
Abhishek just mentioned?
Yeah, Frida. Frida, of course I did, you know, the phenomenal film which we did together. It was a great experience, and it was wonderful. And again, we are on the stage again after 10 years. I hope this
is winning
also...
awards, basically.
No, it's not the award. I think more importantly, we should not think about the awards. I think it's the more the people see it and enjoy it and remember it. I think that's what our reward is. Yeah.
Sir, was it easy? No, not Louis, not you. Abhishek, was it just easy to get the swagger? Because I think Bagheera's character has got a lot of swagger. The way he speaks, he's of course training the man cub Mowgli. Was it easy for you to just be this deep baritone voice which you already have? Ooh, 5-mark question.
No, it was very, very challenging. What was liberating about this entire exercise is, I think for the first time, in our films, in our industry, there is a huge element of your personality that you always bring to a character, which is probably not prevalent in the West. In Indian cinema, I mean, that's almost a prerequisite. What was nice is you got liberated because you got to be an entirely new character and you weren't confined within those boundaries. What was really nice is, I mean, I wasn't playing a human being, so that was new. And keeping that in mind and keeping the you know, the way Mr. Circus had designed the character, the way, you know, Christian had performed it, and then to try and Indianize it, that was very challenging. Also, to fit linguistically Hindi into an English dialogue is very challenging. They're two completely separate languages which have a different tone, a different meter. So that was challenging. But I think in terms of, to answer your question, I think these two gentlemen brought in all the attitude and swag that Bagheera needed. We merely tried to live up to the standards that they had set.
I'm going to take one more question, ladies and gentlemen. Renuka?
Hi.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Christian, my question is for you. You have, from Dark Knight to the Black Panther, if you can take us through the voice modulation that you work on. Because I remember one of the interviews you said that your wife was initially, when you said that you did the Black Panther voice, she wasn't really amused with it. But if you could just take us through how you work on your voices.
Well, with Batman, I just felt stupid. And when I put on the suit. And so I felt like he should sound as monstrous as he could. And what you're referring to is I went home after the screen test and my wife said, "What did you do?" And I showed it and she went, "Oh, well, you blew that, didn't you?" and yeah, no, like the wonderful support. Yeah, and with Bagheera, you know, he's described in the book as having, I think it's like, he says something like, it's a voice like dripping honey from a tree. But he's cunning, he's bold, and he's reckless as well. He's also a wounded individual because he grew up with humans. He saw his mother die, and then he decided to become a panther, and he broke through that lock. But what I liked very much is there's similarities between him and Mowgli, and also him and Shere Khan, because for Bagheera, he's had to work out what his identity is and where he belongs. And then in terms of him and Shere Khan, Bagheera has taken the damage that he's received in his life and he's turned it into love and positivity, whereas Shere Khan has taken that damage and turned it into bitterness and into hatred. And I just wanted to have a sense with Bagheera of great nobility, of sounding soothing for Mowgli when it was needed, sounding avuncular, but then also sounding very threatening when he needs to be. You know, the Rudyard Kipling book says nobody would cross Bagheera's path. Nobody wanted to, and everybody feared him except for Mowgli.
Okay, there's one more question. We have time for one more question.
Hello.
There's a mic already.
Hello.
Where's the mic? Yes.
Hi, I wanted to ask Frida.
Frida, right there in the middle.
Hi. Since you've grown up reading the Jungle Book, how much of that did you bring into your role for this movie? And also, what was it like working with Andy again?
Well, it's always a pleasure working with Andy, and I hope there's many more. You know, Andy and I, when we worked on Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that was my fourth film ever of my career. And I had no idea what motion capture was or what I was going to have to do on set. And it's a very strange thing when you come to set and you watch a grown man in a suit with dots on his face and a camera attached to his head. And then Andy starts performing, and then you completely forget that you're watching a man. You're just watching Caesar come to life. So similarly, I knew, you know, working with Andy on this particular project, that all the animals, all the actors lending themselves to motion capture were going to be taken care of, because really what he's focused on is a performance and not just, you know, the big set of it all. What was your other part of your question? Was how was it? Oh, how did it influence? How did my childhood influence? You know, the beautiful part about this Mowgli adaptation, and I don't know if everyone has seen it, is really what Andy does. It's an ode to India. I remember him telling me before, I think it was before I left for South Africa, that he wanted to do my parts in Hindi and he wanted to attempt it and go down that route. And for all of us who remember on Doordarshan, we'd watch Jungle Book every Sunday. And there's so much of the human life in the village that was captured in that version, and I have not seen that version anywhere else, in any other adaptation. So for me to go to South Africa and actually work with fellow actors, all speaking in Hindi, all enjoying a kind of a version of the Holi festival, singing a lullaby written and composed by Nitin Sawhney, all of those beautiful things that I associate with India came to life in this movie. So yeah, very grateful to Andy for letting me speak in Hindi in this film and letting me dub myself.
Okay, that was bound to happen.
I didn't hear the question.
Your own kids.
Haji.
You want to repeat?
Yeah, I mean, he's two, so he not...
He's two. For you, he's two. And?
So not right now.
Not right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the cameras were clicking away, but of course now it's that big family photograph. But I'm going to invite the producer of Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle on stage. Thamba. Guys, calm. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Cavendish. Yes, now I'd request the cast if they could just step forward. That's okay. And we'll remove the chairs. We'll remove the chairs. Ek second. If flash, please. We'll get you all the pictures. Abhi flash chalega? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now I think if we could get all of you the pictures that you want, but I would request the two Bagheeras if they could pose for the photographers together. Of course, Abhishek and Christian, if you could pose. If you could just step forward, Christian, Abhishek. Ladies and gentlemen, the two Bagheeras. Wow. Super. Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Abhishek. Of course, now if I could request the two Ballus. We got Rohan and Louis now. And then we get the two Ballus as well. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Louis. Thank you so much. I would request the ladies of the film, Frida, Kareena, Madhuri. Okay, thank you. And the final invitation to the two Ballus, Andy Serkis and Mr. Anil Kapoor. Oh, there you go. That was motion capture, wasn't it? All right. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Anil sir. Thank you, Frida. Thank you, Madhuri ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Kareena. Thank you, Louis. Thank you. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you. And thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, 7th of December, Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, streams on Netflix. And of course, there's a premiere in the evening. Hope to see you there. Thank you so much.